The chief executive of Qatar Airways says he expects a lot of other airlines will disappear before this pandemic is over. Akbar Al Baker sat down with me for a wide-ranging exclusive interview at Hamad International Airport in Doha. I started by asking him what the past year had been like amid the aviation industry's worst crisis.
It is something that no CEO of an airline would ever want to face.
So far, airlines left, right and centre are closing down, stopping flying or simply laying off vast numbers, 90-odd% of international flying. Of course, the world's major airlines are faring very badly in this current crisis, and the numbers are starting to really reflect exactly how bad the situation is.
We had got into uncharted waters, not knowing what to do, where to start, what actions to take, and how to accommodate this big shock that the industry suddenly faced.
Did you have to go to your boss, your shareholder, the ruler? Did you have to go to him and say, I'm going to need money. This is how much I'm going to need. Here's the bill.
So I couldn't just jump the queue and go and tell my boss, the ruler of my country, that our situation is so dire and this is what we need. Because I'm sure there were a lot of other people in the queue before me telling him the same thing.
But there was a moment when you did have to go and ask.
Yes, I had to go to my shareholder, which is the government, and to tell them that this is what we predict will happen, and this is the funding that we will require.
How much was that?
And it was $3 billion, which we wanted to keep us going. And we got that.
Your critics will say this has just muddied a water that was already cloudy, with those Gulf carriers getting more subsidies through the back door. And even if they accept that they've taken loans, they will say there's a transparency about their loans and their shareholdings that does not exist.
Look, they should not look at other people before they look at themselves. They have not only received subsidy, they have received massive loans, including subsidies, and they have received salary support to keep employees employed. We didn't get any of that. We got an equity injection, and when you look at the amount of equity injection we got, is the lowest equity injection of all the airlines of our size. So they have no leg to stand on their argument. This is always their argument because they want to stifle competition so that they keep on raising their fares and taking their passengers to the wall.
The vaccines are already in the advanced or the developed world, but so many of your flights are to those countries that may not reach vaccination levels for months, if not several years. So this is going to be a real problem for you, isn't it?
It will not only be a problem for me alone, it will be a problem for the aviation industry. And we will have to work our way within these risks that we will have to take, but we will have to do things, we'll have to put processes, we'll have to put systems in place to mitigate that risk.
So tell me what you've done here. I mean, we are now a year into the pandemic. Travel is underway, the airports are quieter, but what measures have you taken? Show me.
Well, we have taken a lot of measures. First of all, let me show you these individuals. We have them all over the airport. They are constantly monitoring people's temperatures.
Right.
In case you have a high temperature, it will immediately show them in their lens.
What would he do if it was high?
If it is high, then he will immediately notify the paramedics here we have, and then they will immediately isolate the person and then do the necessary tests that we may need to do, because we have a full-fledged clinic at the airport.
Have you actually spotted anybody? Has it actually worked?
It has, not very often, because already there are temperature sensors before you enter the building.
Right.
So, you know, we have several levels of checks, so that if one escapes, then there is other levels which will detect the person. This is UV that is constantly disinfecting all the surfaces and all the check-in counters and all fixtures in the airport, and we have over 12 of them that are constantly operating
What do they
all
do?
around. You see this stamp there?
Yeah.
The ultraviolet light starts emitting from there and hitting the surfaces where it disinfects to the level of an operating theater.
We've heard so much about the HEPA filters and the airflow up and down, but people are still very hesitant. They still are suspicious that the aircraft is a safe environment to be in.
Well, you know, you can never alleviate suspicion of people in everything you do. But I can assure you, in Qatar Airways, for example, our crew are insistent that people keep their masks on. We make sure that people are not loitering around without proper protection. And that is only so much you can do to allay that fear. But I can assure you, as the CEO of an airline, and of course, my biggest priority is to protect my passengers and my crew, that all the precautions we have taken and the measurements we take of infections on airplane is minimal.
Do you think that consolidation within the industry is done?
Frankly, I don't think there will be anything left for consolidation. By the time this pandemic is over, there will only be few airlines that are strong and will continue operating. A lot of other airlines will go under. And this will continue to happen because we have not seen the worst of it over yet. If this pandemic prolongs for too long, this will completely destroy the world's economy, which is so dependent on airlines for delivering business, carrying freight around, and most importantly, creating jobs.